Hello, Algebra 2 folks, and welcome to polynomial division. We are going to do two types of polynomial division, and today we are going to focus on long division. You need to take your notes out that I gave you in class, and we will get started. All right, so if you fold your booklet over, I want you to put the title Polynomial Division, and then I want you to write underneath of it long division, because like I said, there's two types, and I'm going to teach you the second type tomorrow. So what is polynomial long division? It's essentially the same as long division with numbers that you learned in 6th grade. It can be used to write improper polynomials as the sum of a polynomial with a remainder. That would be called the quotient, and I'm going to teach that to you in a minute. And then it can be used for polynomial division to help you factor completely. So say you have a polynomial, but you can't factor it using the AC method or grouping, but we still can factor it. We would use long division to help us factor the polynomial. So we can divide x squared plus 4x minus 32 by x plus 8. Okay? So let's practice long division with numbers because I know it's been a while. So 172 divided by 3. Okay. So how many times does 3 go into 1? Well, it doesn't. Okay. So now you ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 17? That would be 5. 5 times 3 is 15. Then you write a line and you subtract, because division is repetitive subtraction. So 17 minus 15 would be 2. Bring down the 2. How many times does 3 go into 22? That would be 7 times. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract, you have a remainder of 1. Now, if I want to write that as the quotient, I would write it as 57 plus 1 over 3. You take your remainder divided by the number you're dividing by. That is the quotient. Okay? Now let's go ahead and do long division with polynomials. So we set it up the same way. 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 is being divided by x plus 5. So the x plus 5 goes out in front. 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Now, same idea, just kind of a little different process. So because we're only going to focus on the first number, or the first variable, the first thing we have here, this is our focus. So what do I multiply x by so that I can get 2x squared? I want to get 2x squared. Okay, so I would multiply that by 2x, because 2x and x make 2x squared. You always want to get rid of this first term as you're doing the division, and you will see that. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 5 is plus 10x. Draw your line, okay? And this is where you have to remember to change your signs. So we're going to subtract and we're going to subtract. We're going to subtract both of these. Okay, so these two cancel out. Negative 3x minus 10x is negative 13x. Bring down the 1. Just like I did in the last one, once I did that first subtraction, I brought down that next number, which was a 2. Now, again, our focus is what times x will give me negative 13x? Well, that's negative 13. So negative 13 times x is negative 13x. Negative 13 times 5 is negative 65. Put a line and subtract. Again, making sure that you change the signs, and the first two should cancel. What's 1 plus 65? 66. So the remainder is 66. but now we have to write our answer in a quotient, making sure our remainder is a fraction. So our quotient is 2x minus 13 plus whatever that number is, 66. Whoops, I don't like that. Let me erase that. Plus 66 divided by what you're dividing by, x plus 5. That is your quotient. Okay, let's try it again. Take 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 and divide it by 2x minus 1. So 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 divided by 2x minus 1. Okay, what times 2x will give me 2x squared? Yep, you got it. X. X times 2x is 2x squared. If you multiply these two together and you don't get this first term, then this is wrong. Okay, now you take x times negative 1, because this has to be multiplied by both of these. So negative 1x, draw your line, and change your sign. Okay, so subtract because we want these to cancel, but this is already negative, so it becomes a positive. Okay, so these cancel, 6x, bring the 3 down. What times 2x is 6x? That would be 3. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Draw your line, change your signs. Negative, this was a negative, so it becomes a positive. Cancels, 3 plus 3 is 6. So this has a remainder of 6. So our quotient would be x plus 3. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. X plus 3 plus 6 divided by what you're dividing by. Okay. All right, let's do another one. Okay, we have x to the 4th plus 4x to the 3rd, and it skips to an x to the 1st. That's a problem. If a term is missing, either in either spot, okay, you have to write 0 as a placeholder. Okay, so x to the 4th plus 4x cubed plus 0x squared plus x minus 1. If the divisor or the dividend is missing any term, you have to put 0 in the placeholder. So x squared plus 3x minus 5, that's not missing anything. All right, and then we go ahead and do exactly what we've done in the past. What times x squared will give me x to the 4th? Well, remember, when we multiply exponents, we add the exponents. When we multiply bases that are same, we add the exponents. So x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Add exponents when bases are the same and multiply. Now you need to distribute this x squared to the rest of the parts. So I have to take x squared times 3x, which is 3x cubed. X squared times negative 5 is negative 5x squared. Draw your line, and you got it. Change your sign. Negative, this goes to a negative, this goes to a positive. Be careful with the negatives. I'd rather you not try to put a negative over a positive. It's okay to do a positive over a negative, but not here. So scribble it out and draw a negative. That's where a lot of mistakes happen. Cancel, 1x cubed plus 5x squared. Bring down the next term. If you have 3 terms here, you should have 3 terms here. Okay? What times x squared will give me x cubed? An x. X times x squared is x cubed. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Draw your line, and you got it. Change a sign. Okay, here we go. So cancels. 2x squared plus 6x. Bring, oh, oops, sorry about that. Bring the next number down, -1. What times x squared will give you 2x squared? Well, that would be a 2. 2 times 2x squared is 2x squared. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times -5 is -10. Draw your line. Change your sign. Cancels. Oh, that one cancels. That's nice. And we have 9. Now, how do I know not to go any further? Well, x squared times 0 is 9. So if I have to say times 0 to get this, I can't go any further. So that's when I have to stop. So the quotient would be x squared plus x plus 2 plus your remainder divided by what you're dividing by, x squared plus 3x minus 5. Okay? All right, so when we have missing terms, we need to plug in 0 as a placeholder. Don't forget to do that, or your division will never work out. Okay, last one. Okay, let's take x minus 3 and divide it into x cubed plus x squared minus 8x minus 12. I'm not missing any terms, so I don't need any placeholders. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and divide. Okay, so what times x will give me x cubed? That's x squared. Notice how I'm lining them up with what I'm saying. So if I said I multiply to get x, then I'd put it over top of the x. All right, so x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times -3 is -3x squared. Draw your line, change your signs. Cancel. This becomes 4x squared. Bring down your next term. What times x will give you 4x squared? Well, that would be 4x. 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times -3 is -12x. Draw your line. Change your sign. Cancels. That's 4x. Bring down your last term. What times x will give you 4x? Well, that would be a 4. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times -3 is -12. Change, make your line, change your signs. And they cancel out, and we have a remainder of 0. So what does it mean to have 0 as a remainder? That means that this is a factor. All the other ones weren't really factors. I can divide any number by any number. But when I get a remainder of 0, it means it's a factor. So the quotient for this one would be x squared plus 4x plus 4. And I don't have to write there's any remainder. All right. So let's just take a little sidebar here and say if I took 6 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3, 3 goes into 6 2 times. 2 times 6, or 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. 3 is a factor. So the factors of 6 are 3 times 2. But if you were to divide 6 by 4 and you get a remainder, well, then 1 is not a factor and neither is 4. 4 is not a factor because you didn't get a remainder of 0. So when you get a remainder of 0, it means that what you're dividing by is a true factor. And that is going to help us later on in this chapter. All right, that's all I have, folks. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow to practice.